Hello everybody. Today I want to make a video about modeling a dipole. This last few weeks I have been using a dipole made with some shark sticks or some ham sticks. It's just pretty much a small fiberglass pole that has a wire wrapped up or coiled up on the base, and then you use the top to adjust it. And it worked great in a dipole configuration. And the issue here for me, it's I don't want to shortchange the antenna, right? I want to give the antenna its full length, so maybe that way it can perform a little bit better. And the challenge that I have is right now elevation. I want to use this antenna for a POTA activation. I did use a painter's pole the last time I went out. It's sitting about 16 feet of height, and it did the job. Had almost 200 contacts in a couple of hours, so I know it does work, right? But I'm curious to see how a dipole at its full length for 20 meters, how it can perform. So I invite you to follow me along here and let's see how this modeling goes, right? And the tool that I will be using today, it's MMANA. Not sure if you heard about it, but it's a great tool. And I'll start here by making just a line. These blue lines are, this is the center, and this will be ground level. Redraw this thing. And that is sitting at 10 meters of length, which is ideal for the 20 meters antenna that I want to build. And just like magic, we can see the antenna is right here built, and this little dot means that's the feed point for it. Hopefully you can see that there. That small dot, it's the feed point. The antenna currently sitting on the ground, and to add elevation, which is this z-axis right here, I want to do that here on this side, right? And I start out 7 meters. We're looking at about a little bit over 20 something feet of elevation. I use this frequency for today. It's 14.280, and I've ran some of this earlier just to see how it works. I want to build this out of tubing. Right? You have different options here, but I'll select tubing, and you can also set the grounds, the ground setup. I did check some of the defaults, but I'm not going to use any of those defaults. I will be in sandy ground and also right at the beach here in Florida, so I will do that. So hopefully I can get a little bit better performance in real life than I can get here. All right, so right off the bat, we see here there is an SWR of about 2, which you could really get by with that, but it's not ideal for your radio. And the gain seems to be pretty decent, right? So if we look at the far field for this antenna, this is where the challenge comes from. Yes, the antenna has pretty good gain of 5 dBi from its broadside, so forward and backwards. But the issue, if you see here, all of that gain is going straight up, and just a bit of that is going out to the sides. That's clearly not its peak performance for this antenna. What we can do is try to give it a little more elevation and see how that behaves. Actually, before I do that, let's look at in 3D. This is how it would look like, right? So if you never used this program, this is what you're looking at. This line right here represents the actual dipole antenna, and this is the broadside. Call this the front, call that the back, right? So pretty neat. Still not ideal, but it still works. If we set that at 10 meters of elevation, right, and we run an optimization here, we want to optimize for gain, optimize for SWR, and match, selecting all the elements, which is only one, right? And then we run that, and we can see there is some slight improvement from what we had before. Better SWR, the gain has dropped a little bit. Looking at the far field plot, we can see the shape looks a bit different than it did before. So now instead of going straight up like we had, some of that energy is being concentrated forward and backward. Clearly better performance than what we had when we have better height, right? So still, again, not ideal, but better than what we had. So if we go back to 7 meters of elevation and optimize for that, which didn't get a chance to do before, select all elements and run it one more time, we can see not as good of an SWR, but we do get a little bit better gain. So when we do looking at the SWR and see where it's resonating at, that's a bit lower than what we wanted, right? I only have a general's license, so clearly that's too low for me. But what we can do is shift this a little bit higher on the band so that I can, or we can get better performance on the band that I can occupy. I'm gonna try to trick this thing. Oop, not 2, but 3. All right, let's look for that frequency and optimize for that frequency, and let's see how that looks. We're doing gain, SWR, and match. We want all elements. Okay, I don't want to save that. We do have some changes here, and let's look at what we have for SWR. sort of getting, yeah, there we go. Not great. If I had a tuner set up on it, clearly it would look a little bit better. The tuner would do what it needs to take it at 1.5. I want to do that so it can give me the actual geometry. And what I'm looking at is about 508 in meters for each side of the dipole. Call it left and right, call it positive and negative, you know what I mean. So that's what the antenna looks like. That would be your front and back of the antenna. At that frequency, we have the elevation already set, and that's pretty much it, right? Not that much to look into. So it does work. It's not ideal if I'm trying to get some DX, usually found on 5 degrees of the horizon. Clearly, I'm not going to be getting a whole lot of DX with this antenna. With negative 18 dBi, that's not going to happen, right? I'm going to go ahead and build this thing anyways. I want to see how it behaves. But anyways, this would be my startup when I decide to build a 2-element Yagi, which it was just, this would be the driven element, and all I would need is just a reflector so that I can add it to the antenna. This thing is going to be massive, right? So 10 meters, it's going to be a big antenna. And using it for POTA, I'm going to have to build it in a way that can be broken down in pieces. So I don't have that much to work with. There are some videos on YouTube. I found this guy made a tremendous video about how to make a rotating dipole. And this would be what I'll be using in the center to put the center of the antenna, where I will be connecting the coax in the center. And again, my challenge is going to be that how high can I get it? And I'm going to have to buy a nice steady pole that I can put on near my truck on either the tires or the tailgate one. Hopefully I can make it sturdy enough to have a good activation as high as I can. At the very least, it will be 16 feet. Hopefully I can get it higher. But this is the plate. I'm going to get this on eBay. Doesn't seem too bad. This is again for 20 meters, and I will be using a 3/4 inch tubing. This is what the tubing looks like, and hopefully I can get that soon and I can get to building and have fun on the air with it. Let me know what you think.